Hello YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am bringing you pretty much all new releases book haul. I pre-ordered so many books that have come out. Like September was a big month for book releases, and I pre-ordered so many books. And they all just kind of came. So I've gotten a lot of really new releases, things that I have been waiting for so long. And I've also got a few books from the publishers, so it's like a grab bag of stuff, but these are all books I pre-ordered so long ago and they finally arrived. So I just want to share. I'm excited. Yay! First off, I have The Love Study by Chris Ripper. And this was sent to me by the publisher, I think this is by Carina Press, which is a offshoot of Harlequin. So thank you very much for sending it to me. I am so excited for this one. I'm so excited I got it from the publisher. This is a very modern romance. It's a LGBTQIA plus romance. And this is about Declan. He is kind of a directionless guy, and he is having no luck with relationships, and then he meets this non-binary YouTuber named Sydney, and they have an advice show, and they kind of start working together, and Sydney's like, hey, why don't I send you on dates, and then we can talk about it on the show. It's like a whole thing. And then wouldn't you know, Sydney's like, I'll send you on dates, and Declan's like, okay. And then like they start hanging out with each other a lot, and then things happen. So I love that kind of concept so much. It's like a trope that I live for. And I also really like that it's featuring a non-binary character, because you don't really see a lot of non-binary characters being the lead of a romance. Like, you don't see that very often. It was definitely like on my radar. I saw that and I was like, ooh, I am interested in that. I have not read a story with a romantic lead being non-binary before, and I was so excited for that. So I have really high hopes. I think this might be really fun. At the very least, it's going to be new and fresh, which is something I'm interested in, because I read so many romances that when something's unique, it automatically draws my eye. And yeah, this one sounds really cool. I'm really excited about it. It's always like that, oh, I'm, you know, these kisses are only instructional type of situation, which I love. I live for that trope. So thank you very much to Harlequin and Carina Press for sending me this. I am so excited to read it. Also sent to me by the publisher is The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. So this was sent to me by Tor. This comes out in February 2021, so it's a little while off. This one is kind of like a sci-fi domestic thriller, which I am very intrigued by. There's this scientist named Evelyn, and she's doing like research into cloning, and then she builds herself a clone of herself. And the clone's name is Martine, and she's basically everything that Evelyn isn't. She's very domestic and mild-mannered, and Evelyn's very much like science and brashness. So they're very different people, even though they're clones of each other. Turns out Martine's having an affair with Evelyn's husband. And I'm not sure, because the blurb is brief, but I think the clone and Evelyn might murder the husband together and then have to cover it up. Which I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. Not the murder thing, because, you know, murder is bad. It's just like, oh, me and my clone murdered our husband, so we have to hide it now. That's like such a crazy premise that I'm like obsessed. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy I have this. I've only read one other book by Sarah Gailey before, and that was Magic for Liars, which I thought was well written. It just was a noir story, and I have just realized, me as a human, not so into noir. So it wasn't my jam, but I understand how it is a jam. Oh my gosh, it sounds like juicy, like domestic drama, thriller situation, and also sci-fi clones. Yes. It's such like a cool mashup concept. So thank you very much, Tor, for sending this to me. I'm so excited for it. I also got a copy of Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. This was actually sent to me from my Amazon wish list from Joy, so thank you so much, Joy, for sending me this. I am very interested in the story. This is kind of it's like a cat and mouse crime thriller, and it's about this guy in a Mercedes, so far unknown, who literally took his car and plowed it into a crowd of people and murdered a lot of them, sped off, no one ever found him. Then you have this detective who's still on the case, and then he gets a letter, and then Mr. Mercedes, he's just like, hey, I remember when I killed those people with my car, and like I really, really enjoyed that. It was a good time. So I think I'm gonna do it again, but like bigger, and like thousands of people are gonna die. It's gonna be awesome. And the cop is like, oh shit. So it's like this detective and these two unlikely allies, and they're all searching for Mr. Mercedes to stop this horrible crime from happening. And I'm like, okay, cat and mouse thriller. It seems really cool. I think this got made into a movie? TV show movie? I'm not sure. It's some type of visual media. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. I remember I wanted to see the show or the movie or whatever it was. So thank you very much, Joy, for sending this to me. I'm so excited. This is like a premise I think is really, really cool. So thank you so much. A book I pre-ordered so long ago that's finally here is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Oh my gosh, I pre-ordered this so long ago and it finally is here. I'm so happy. This is about a trans boy named Yadriel who is trying to prove himself as a real brujo to his Latin family. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go to this graveyard, I'm gonna perform this ritual, summon the ghost of my murdered cousin, set him free. It's gonna be dope. He gets to the graveyard. Whoopsie daisy, summons the wrong spirit. It's this guy Julian. And then things happen and Julian's like, help me solve my murder. And Yadriel's like, okay. And then things happen some more. And then love. So he kind of falls in love with the ghost. So I don't really know how that's gonna work out. But I'm obsessed with the concept of this story so much. It's like, oops, I summoned the wrong ghost and now I'm in love with him. I love it. And this actually made the New York Times bestseller list. Oh my gosh, I pre-ordered this so long ago. I'm so excited about it. So good. So good. So I can't wait to read this. I'm very happy I finally have it. Oh my gosh. I could keep going on and on about this book, but just like, no, I'm very excited about it and I'm very happy to have it. Another book I pre-ordered is Blood and Honey by Shelby McHuron. This is the sequel to Serpent and Dove, which I absolutely loved in 2019. It was so good. I loved it so much. So I had to get the sequel. Pretty much as soon as I finished Serpent and Dove, I pre-ordered this. So this has been pre-ordered for like almost a year at this point, and I finally have it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We're catching up with Lou and Reed. I know their names are Lou Reed, but we're moving past that. So Lou and Reed. Lou is a witch, Reed is a witch hunter. How are these crazy kids gonna work it out? Because they're married now. And there's a very explosive ending of Serpent and Dove. And I'm assuming this kind of takes up right where that left off with like that big bombshell ending and like where's it going from here. And I was so obsessed with Serpent and Dove that I needed to have Blood and Honey because I want to see what these crazy kids are gonna get into next. There's really cool like witchiness and a cool magic system, you know, murderous mothers, because that's a very common trope. And I really like their like relationship, because Reed is very much a Boy Scout and Lou is just like a wild animal. So this is kind of an odd couple situation that works really well together. So I really love the first book enough that I like immediately pre-ordered book 2, and now it's here and I can read it and I'm so excited. Yay! Another pre-order that came in is As the Shadow Rises by Katie Rose Poole. This is the sequel to There Will Come a Darkness, which by the way was one of my top books of 2019. I absolutely loved There Will Come a Darkness. It was so good. Like from line 1 of page 1, I was obsessed, which is like a hard thing to do. So already from like line 1 of page 1, I was like, I'm getting the next book. That's how quickly I was like addicted to the story. And I think I might try to refresh my memory of book 1 because so many things happened and there's like 5 different perspectives, so like a lot happened in that book. So it's worth refreshing my memory because this is a continuation of it. There's a big prophecy that the world is going to end and they're trying to like stop that from happening. It's the basic gist of the story. But all the characters are so cool and this world is so lush and vivid and interesting and the political dynamics are cool. And like I'm obsessed. Oh my gosh, I love book 1 so much. Like line 1 on book 1, I already wanted book 2. So it was one of those books that was so incredible that I'm like, pre-ordered, love it, need it now. I also got a copy of A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. This is the sequel to Bringing Down the Duke, which I also really, really loved. It's kind of a, I don't know, book 1, Bringing Down the Duke gave me like Elizabeth and Darcy vibes, and I was like into that. It was like bickering that Elizabeth and Darcy had, but also with like sexy delights, so it was like, okay, you took it up a notch. I appreciate that. And then this is a different couple in that universe, and it's basically suffragettes and dukes. And I'm like, yes, I love sassy suffragettes as my main characters. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited I have this. So this is Lucy and Tristan. They were both introduced in book 1 and with like hints of a past between them. I think basically like it's like a sexy nemesis situation where they're enemies and nemesis to each other, and then like also sexy times. It's like, I hate you, but I can't stop making out with you situation, which I'm like into like a lot. And again, suffragettes, again, dukes, and like parliament, and like fighting for women's rights, and also sexy times. So like it's got a lot of things I really enjoy. So I'm excited. I've been wanting to read this for so long. I also got a copy of Winter Counts by David Heska Wanbley Wyden. Hopefully I said all that right. This one is kind of a crime thriller, and it mainly takes place on an Indian reservation, which is what kind of brought me to this story in the first place, that I was like, oh, that's a cool setting. I haven't actually read a book that took place on a reservation before. We're following this guy named Virgil. He is basically a bit of a vigilante of this reservation. So basically when tribal council justice or American justice fails, they hire Virgil to go give a punishment to who needs punishing. And then there ends up being a real bad heroin problem in his community, and it starts hitting too close to home, and it gets personal, so he starts investigating these cartels and getting into tribal politics. And oh man, it sounds really, really cool, honestly. I haven't really read a story quite like this before, but it's definitely like a crime thriller, and it's I believe its own voices as well. And I haven't really read a book that primarily took place at an Indian reservation, so I think that's really, really cool. And also it's going to be like action-packed, cat and mouse maybe type of vibe. It's definitely a crime thriller, and I'm into it. I think this might be really good, actually. It's definitely a book outside of my comfort zone. It's not something I think, like crime thrillers aren't something I usually pick up. That's not something I'm like usually into, but this one has a lot of other things going on for it that really draw my eye. So I think I'm really fascinated with this. This is kind of a surprise book I didn't know I was gonna get, but then I ended up getting, and I'm like, okay, like I'm into this. I think this is gonna be really cool. Alright, so those are just a few new books that I've gotten recently. Some sent to me by a publisher, some sent to me by lovely subscribers, some I pre-ordered, so it's a whole grab bag of stuff, but they all pretty much recently came out in, September, or their arcs. And, oh man, some of these, I pre-ordered so long ago. These are like really anticipated reads for me, so I'm so pumped right now. Oh my goodness gracious. Let me know in the comments down below. Again, these are like sequels to very hot books from 2019. Are you interested in them? Did you also enjoy those books? Are you super hyped about these sequels? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you are interested in picking up these books for yourself, I will leave links to all of them in the description down below so they're easily found. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!